Welcome, Ravi sir. Uh, I'm Rajendra Bist and is a student of MTech from Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Greater Noida, Uttar Pradesh. And my thesis subject is optimization of cutting parameters of CNC turning machine and its effect on the surface roughness. Okay. So basically here I'm putting the introduction basically in any industries, we need to make our products based on the requirement. So in turning, surface roughness is the major factor which is the, we can say the quality of the product defined based on the surface roughness. So my thesis of or experiment in this is what is the how we can achieve the good surface roughness or minimum surface roughness by optimizing the cutting parameters of CNC turning machine. And also I worked on what is the effect of CNC turning machine and the effect of conventional turning machine on the surface roughness, and also what is the effect of coolant on the surface roughness of the product. So these are the titles of the paper which I refer to do my experiment. So basically that determine the effect of cutting parameter on surface roughness in hard turning using Taguchi method, and optimization power consumption of CNC turn part using response service methodology and Taguchi techniques. So on all these references, I have taken the reference and do my experiment. Then this is the introduction. Like basically, it just introduced about the what is the turning process. Basically, turning process is used to produce cylindrical component on a lathe machine or a turning machine, and basically it will give the product based on the requirement. So whatever the cutting parameter we will feed on the machine, it will give the shape of the product. So here in my experiment, basically I calculated the surface roughness, okay, on the product to on the various cutting parameters, changing the cutting parameters. So I've used the AN8D materials to perform this experiment. So I've checked the chemical composition and mechanical properties of the AN8D material. So I've used hardness testers, spectrometer, and UTM. Basically, spectrometer is used to check the chemical composition, and hardness tester is used to check the hardness, and UTM is used to check the mechanical properties. Then I have used the BFW PL500S CNC turning machine to perform my experiment, and the Mitutoyo SJ310 portable surface roughness tester for the roughness values. So my objective is current work is to conclude and result the optimal cutting parameter to get minimum surface roughness, to conclude the effect of coolant on the surface roughness value, and to conclude the result of surface roughness both on conventional and non-conventional CNC machines. So basically in this experiment, I have taken 20 bar of EN8 materials with dia and length of 50 mm. So I have performed like first experiment, I have changed the cutting speed, and while the feed and depth kept at same. In the second set of experiment, I have changed the depth of cut and keep the second cutting speed and feed kept at same. And third set of experiment, I have changed the feed rate with this value, while cutting speed and depth of cut kept at same. All these three experiments I have repeated by using cutting cutting fluid or coolant, and also same experiment I have done on both conventional and non-conventional machines. So after this experiment, I have taken out these results. So first result is showing the results of surface roughness and the cutting speed. So we can see by using the graph that the surface roughness decrease if we increase the cutting speed in all the three cases, with the coolant or without coolant, or with the CNC machines. In the second relationship, we can see that the surface roughness is increased by increasing the depth of cut in all the three cases. And in the third, the relation between surface roughness and feed rate, it is clearly that surface roughness is also increased by increasing the feed in all the three cases. So basically, by increasing the feed rate significantly influences the surface roughness, then increasing the depth of cut. So basically, we need to recommend to increase the depth of cut more than the feed to improve the machining productivity. So basically, we need to keep feed rate at low side, then the depth of cut to get the maximum output. So here is my conclusion. Like by increasing the spindle speed or cutting speed, our surface roughness get decreased. If we increase the depth of cut, the surface roughness will also get increased. And also, if we increase the feed, the surface roughness will also get increased. And we observed that by using the coolant or cutting fluid, surface roughness will decrease. So we need to, based on the productivity of the component, the feed has the highest effect on the surface roughness than depth of cut. And the machining surface roughness is less on the CNC turning machine than on the conventional machine. So these are the conclusion after this experiment. And these are the journals which I referred. And basically in my further study, I'm working on the by using the RSM and ANOVA method to see the effect of cutting parameters and the material removal rate. By using this ANOVA method or RSM method, that I'm also working on this. By after getting these data, I'll work on the RSM method and ANOVA method to optimize the cutting parameters. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation and good research work. So request you to share your email details out there in the chat box.
Okay,
People
sir.
we can get in touch with you.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Yeah. And a small doubt is what is the advantages of this particular research work where you can see how you can commercialize it or how you can work towards it for a reduction through your optimization techniques, maybe in terms of cost or maybe in terms of
Basically,
increasing the efficiency is with respect to temperature and other parameters.
yeah, basically in terms of product quality, like basically every product, our aim is to get a good quality product. So good quality product means so we should have a good surface roughness. So that's why my objective is to get the optimized process parameter to get the minimum surface roughness. And also in my next study, I'll work on the material removal rate. How if you get the good surface roughness, it will not affect on the productivity. So material removal rate should also be the high. So in the next study of my experiment, I'll work on this to get the minimum surface roughness and maximum material removal rate. So we can get a good productivity as well as good quality. So these two are the factors which I'm focusing on my experiment.
You mean like roughness should be less?
Yeah, definitely roughness should be less.
Okay. To reduce the brittleness.
Right, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
My topic would be assessing the ability to reduce the vegetable price by using railway. So this is my content. So in my next slides, I will go through these contents. The background, the agriculture industry is one of the key elements in Sri Lankan economy. According to the reports, 31% of the population directly or indirectly involved in the agriculture sector. So annual cost of production of the vegetable and fruit is existing LKR 35 billion, and the annual vegetable production amount is comes to 700,000 tons. So it's vital to create a balance between affordable price and worthwhile vegetable price without compromising the income and the profit of the farmers, and avoid frequent price fluctuation, and also maintain the freshness and the quality of the vegetable are important to achieve the better economic position in the agriculture sector. The research problem is when it comes to the price of 1 kg of a vegetable, there's a significant difference between the wholesale price and the retail market price. As you can see in the chart, there's a huge significant difference between the price of these 7 vegetables in 2 different locations. I mean, the wholesale price and the retail market. So the research questions are, what are the transport related factors that affect the vegetable pricing when using each transport, that is road and rail? And also, what are the challenges and benefits of using railway transportation and road transport when transporting vegetable from Dambulla, that is one of the dedicated economic center in the country, from Dambulla to Colombo. That is, Colombo is the main economic center in the country when it comes to distribution of vegetables. And also, is it possible to reduce the price of vegetable using railway transport? Because in the country, most of the farmers, traders, and other partners are using road transport to transport vegetables from one location to another location. The conceptual framework is vegetable price has 4 main elements, that is wholesale price, retailer's profit margin, logistic cost, and wastage cost. So basically, I'll be looking at logistic cost and wastage cost of vegetable. Under logistic cost, there are transport cost, handling cost, and packaging cost. For this research, I have taken 10 vegetables as samples, 4 upcountry vegetables and 6 low country vegetables. Vegetable that needs special care in terms of storage and packaging did not consider for this research. As an example, I can mention tomatoes. In the data analysis, total logistic cost for both road and railway transport were considered. When it comes to transport, the transport, handling, and packaging cost were taken. When the wastage of road transport is analyzed, the wastage percentage of the specific vegetable waste is considered. For the scenario of wastage in railway transportation, 10% reduction and 5% addition were considered. So this is the road transportation price share for vegetable. As shown in the transport share of retail price for carrot is rupees 4 and 50 cents. These are taken from the report of Agriculture Network and Marketing by JICA and the statistics of the report of Department of Agriculture. So every vegetable has a different transport cost when it comes to the road transportation. So as an example, leeks average retail price is 260 per kg. The transport component is 10 rupees and 40 cents. So likewise, I have mentioned the 10 vegetables transport cost when it comes to the road transportation. In the rail transportation, the scenario is a bit different, because when you use the rail transportation, you have to get the road transportation as well to transport the vegetable from the Dambulla Economic Center to Kakirava railway station. Per kg cost is 40 cents. From there, Kakirava railway station to Fort railway station, per kg cost is 2 rupees 64 cents. The total transport cost per kg when you transport vegetables from rail is constant. That is 3 rupees 04 cents. Whereas if you look at the previous slide, transport cost of road method is difference when it comes to each and every vegetable. So the second part is packaging and handling cost of both road and rail. Packaging cost for both scenarios is same, that is 40 cents per kg in the both methods. Handling cost is different when it comes to rail transport. The cost is higher than the railway transport because at the in the rail transportation, the handling point, there are more handling points. Due to that, the cost is higher than the road transportation. This is the average waste per kg when it comes to road transportation. This data gathered from the reports from Department of Agriculture. So each and every vegetable has a different wastage per kg as shown in this table. So when it comes to rail transport, in this table, we have calculated the rail transport wastage. When you transport through rail, compared to road transport, the wastage is reduced by 10%. And also, when you increase the handling point, the 5% loss is occurred. So accordingly, in the last column, average wastage per kg in rail transportation is shown. So this is the logistic cost difference between two modes. So as shown here, when you transport vegetable like carrot, beans, cabbage, leeks, and capsicum has a positive impact, whereas long beans, snake gourd, lady's fingers, brinjals, and pumpkins has a negative impact when it comes to logistic cost for the two modes. I'm sorry. This is the saving from the wastage. So almost all the vegetable has a saving when you transport vegetables through railways. The last column shows the saving amount of each category, each vegetable. So the findings are logistic cost difference for low country vegetable, the road transport is beneficial. For the upcountry vegetable, railway transport is better option. Logistics cost of the vegetable with higher retail price is less when using rail. And also wastage reduction saving side, we will have 1 to 2 kilogram per kg for all vegetable. And wastage reduction is significantly higher when transporting bulk of vegetables. Highest wastage reduction occurs when transporting cabbages and leeks. And also the saving observed from wastage reduction can be reduced from the vegetable price as the supply chain partners' profits are not affected. This is the price adjustment considering the wastage and the logistic cost difference. As mentioned in the last column, every retail price of vegetable can be witnessed with a price reduction except lady's fingers. And price reduction percentage is also increasing when the retail price is increasing. Like lady's finger suggested price has become higher than the existing retail price. Averagely, the reduction percentage has increased when the retail price is increased. Also, for the vegetable with the higher retail price, the railway transportation is a better option. My conclusion, analysis shows the railway transport method has a benefit of consistent freight rate, which are not highly fluctuating as in road transportation. Using railway transportation, the wastage can be reduced by 5%, which is a significant saving in terms of transporting large volumes of vegetables. Overall, when compared to road transportation mode, railway transportation was identified to have promising potential. Recommendation: it is recommended to conduct an industrial experiment simulating the transportation of different vegetables. Recommend to run advanced simulation models to further validate the result. Also, in the process of conducting the study, it was identified that the wastage at each point of the vegetable supply chain cannot be measured properly. So that problem has to be addressed. And this setup can be help identifying which strategies can be effective to reduce the post-harvest loss of vegetable. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Silvia, for your wonderful presentation. Share your email address and details out there in the chat box. We can get in touch with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon to one and all. Today I am presenting a topic: laboratory investigation and evolving the mixed design of roller compacted concrete containing wrap aggregates and silica fuel. Just a moment. Is not slides. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, these are the contents of the presentation. So in introduction, based on structural integrity, pavements are two types: rigid pavement and flexible pavement. In case of flexible pavement, wheel load is transferred from grain to grain. In case of rigid pavement, wheel load is transferred via slab action. The flexible pavements are constructed with aggregates and petroleum products like bitumen or asphalt. Presently, due to lack of petroleum products, that means scarcity of petroleum products, as well as asphalt pavement have lesser strength and durability. So in India, mostly presently they are preferred rigid pavement. These rigid pavements are generally constructed with good quality of concrete. Good quality of concrete means, as per Indian Road Congress, minimum 4.5 MPa flexural strength at 28 days, and it resists abrasion and shrinkage. So this purpose we mostly prefer M40 grade concrete. This M40 grade concrete contains around 15 to 20% of cement content and 70 to 75% of aggregates. Use of this scale is depleting our natural resources. So presently most of the researchers are searching for other alternative for these aggregates, and some few researchers are suggested RAP, recycled asphalt clamped aggregates. So these are obtained from flexible pavements. After life of these flexible pavements, we are extract this aggregate from flexible pavements. So this is the one case, and another case is cement content. Cement content is also around 15 to 20%. This cement content increase strength, but at the same time it shrinks more. That's why we are address these drawbacks, and we suggest on a special concrete that is called roller compacted concrete. This roller compacted concrete is mostly designed for pavements and dams, but earlier they are mostly suggested for this pavement is suitable for low traffic pavements. So what is the roller compacted concrete? It name itself, the concrete is constructed by using rollers, and the main difference between roller compacted concrete and normal concrete is the fine aggregate content is more compared to normal concrete. And due to this concrete, it achieves strength based on hydration as well as friction also. In case of normal concrete, friction it does not achieve strength. Only normal concrete is achieved strength by hydration. But in case of roller concrete, roller compacted concrete, strength is achieved as well as friction and hydration. And due to this roller compacted concrete, we reduce cement content 10%. Means it is suitable for 16 to 15%. Cement is sufficient for roller compacted concrete. But in case of conventional concrete, it needs 15 to 20%. So we reduce cement content and increase in fine aggregate content in roller compacted concrete. This is the main advantage. And here it is automatically reduce air content due to using more compaction by rollers. So based on this, present objective of this work is to develop the to develop the pavement quality concrete based on IRC first, and after that we replace fine aggregate and coarse aggregate with RAP. Next, we develop RCC based on PQC. That means altering the PQC mix design, and we achieve RCC. Finally, we replace RAP in RCC, and then decreasing the strength due to RAP, then we increase silica fume. This is the main objective. This purpose, we are using these materials: cement OPC 43 grade, and this specific gravity of cement is 3.15, and this cement is satisfied the IS 8112-2000 codes. That means its initial strength, final strength of cement, fineness, everything is satisfied based on this code. And silica fume is used for high strength enhancement purpose. This specific gravity of silica fume is 2.2, and size of the silica fume is around 5 microns. Around 5 microns means less than 5 microns. The natural aggregates are confirmed as per IS 370 table 2 zone 2, and these are confirmed in IRC 44 also. And the gradation is followed as per IRC 44 2017 specifications. After that, we are collecting RAP aggregates near the NIT Jalandhar, and we milling it, and we are using. These are the images of these aggregates, and these are the properties of these aggregates. Properties means natural coarse aggregate and RAP coarse aggregate. Specific gravity is 2.56 of natural coarse aggregate. RAP is 2.44. Water absorption is 0.95 and 0.78. Crushing values are these things. And in case of fine RAP means particle size is less than 4.75. Then specific gravity is 1.98, and this specific gravity is 2.48. Water absorption is here 1.65 and here 2.83. Because the here of bitumen, already fine RAP is already contained with some content of bitumen. That's why bitumen is also porous material and fine aggregate is also porous material. Due to this nature, its water absorption is increased. And fineness modulus, this is performed as per IS 383 table 2. It is zone 2, and bitumen content is in fine RAP 6.3. And potable water is used as per IS 456-2000. It satisfied water content. Then methodology. Based on this, first I cost PQC M40 grade concrete and alter the concrete grades, and I achieve RCC. Roller compacted concrete. After achieving roller compacted concrete, I modified aggregate content with RAP. Due to this involving in RAP, its strength is somewhat reduced, but we are adding some silica fume, some volume of silica fume. It is automatically increase the strength. This is the methodology, and based on the RCC recommendations and based on the PQC M40 mix design, I prepare mixes like this: PQC pavement quality concrete 410 kg cements, natural coarse aggregate 950 kgs, natural fine aggregate 795, water cement ratio 0.36. Coarse fine RAP. So after that, I replace natural coarse aggregate 50% and natural fine aggregate 50%. These are the 50%, I replaced by volume, and after that I replace, I altered PQC concrete mix, and I achieve roller compacted concrete with these are the compositions. And after achieving roller compacted concrete, then I replace compositions 50% natural coarse aggregate and fine natural coarse aggregate and fine aggregate. These are the final components. And after achieving this and we perform these results, then it reduces some strength due to coarse RAP and fine RAP. Then increase the silica fume content. It is automatically somewhat increase the strength. I discuss those things later. Results and discussion. These are the results. Compressive strength. In this compressive strength purpose, I am using cubes in normal PQC, and RCC it is casted in slabs, 300 into 500 mm slabs, and I extract core samples and I perform test in 7 days and 28 days as per IS 516 code. The compressive, these are the compressive strength values, 28 days and 7 days. If we are observe here, this compressive strength values are decreased with RAP. And roller compacted concrete also same condition. If we are using RAP, then automatically these values are decreased. But if we are adding silica fume, the strength is somewhat increased. means 30.1 to 32.8. Similarly, flexural strength results. These flexural strength results also follow same trend of compressive strength. So based on these results, why it is happens? Because of ITZ. ITZ means intertransition zone. That means the bond strength with paste and aggregate is somewhat low due to wrap. That's why its strength values is decreased. If we are increasing silica fume, then it increase the paste content and it increase the bond between aggregates and paste. Then automatically it increases the strength. That is the main conclusions and main topic involved in reducing the strength. Based on this discussion, my conclusions are it is suitable for low traffic pavements. That means as per IRC 44 suggests that low traffic pavements it need 30 MPa strength. So it satisfies 30 MPa. So it is satisfied suggested as per my conclusion. This material is sufficient for low traffic pavements. These are the references. Thank you.
Our paper's title is Emission Responses to Carbon Pricing in Dynamic Electricity Markets. The power sector is the largest source of US greenhouse gas emissions. In 2013, as you can see, the electricity accounts for 37% of the total CO2 emissions in the US. It is gradually decreasing in the recent years. In 2016, it was 34%, and in 2018, it was 32%. So now it is actually lower than the transportation sector, but not long ago, approximately in 2010, the number for electricity sector was well above 40%. So recently, we see this declining trend primarily because of the development of the fracking technology, which greatly increased the natural gas supply and decreased its price. Considering natural gas is cleaner than coal, then a few switching from coal to natural gas because of the price will also decrease the carbon dioxide emissions. So this is the one of the major reasons. But another reason is it has been long recognized that a well-designed emission trading program, such as a cap and trade program, can effectively reduce air pollution. One such program in the United States is called the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, the RGGI program. It is a regional program only regulating about 10 eastern and northeastern states. Started in 2009 and is the first such program in the United States. So basically for power sectors, for the power plants to emit 1 ton of carbon dioxide, then they need to surrender 1 unit of payment, 1 unit of permits, which is costly. Then but the effectiveness of the policy was questioned. One reason is, as in the left figure here, at least in the first several years, the permit price was quite low, close or at the price floor set by the program. So whether such a low price would work, would make any difference is questioned a lot during that time. And another reason is, like I mentioned before, the development of the fracking as shown in the right graph here. Because of that, the time coincided with the RGGI, the RGGI program, that's around roughly 2008, 2009, we started to have a development of the fracking, which decreased the price of natural gas. Then power plants then switched from coal to natural gas, also contributed to the emission reduction. So this is a major reason why we do see emission reduction right now, not necessarily attributed to the carbon policy here. So whether the emission reduction we do observe can be attributed to the carbon policy is still an open question. Then the contribution of this paper is, first of all, in the literature, most of the papers used annual data at the aggregation level, for example, at the state level. But in this paper, we use very detailed data, hourly data from individual generators or power plants. Then another contribution of this paper is Because we use very detailed hourly data, then we can observe more variables in the production that cannot be observed or overlooked in the annual data, which is the intertemporal constraints in the production. And we compare the model, we use the intertemporal model to the classic static model to see the difference. Other contributions are producers. We also check the producers' heterogeneity, and also we have different simulation of different scenarios to measure the generation emission responses to the different market and policy conditions. And this is the first paper studying how the individual firms react to different CO2 policies in the regulated area. Some background about electricity. First of all, electricity is important, of course. Well, we don't want power outages at any time. And another issue is electricity is extremely costly to store at any economically meaningful large scale. So that means supply needs to match demand at all times. It's not a big issue if demand is relatively stable. So we know how much we need to match at any time. But the problem is demand fluctuates a lot across seasons, days, and even within a day. Here's a graph. It's supposed to be a dot chart graph for electricity demand, but there are so many dots, it looks like lines. So basically, those are hourly demand. So the number 1 hour is the hour right after the midnight. And the last hour, number 24 hour, is the hour from 11 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. So if we look at this graph vertically, then we see during the same hour, but across different days, the highest demand could be almost double of the lowest demand for the same hour. And if we look at this horizontally, then of course we see a much higher average for the peak hours, roughly from the noon to the evening, those hours, and much higher average for demand. So that gives us the conclusion that we have to build a lot of power plants to match even the highest possible demand during the peak hours of the peak season. But much of the capacity or power plants have to be brought offline during the off-peak hours in the off-peak seasons. But so that means for many power plants, we need to turn them on and off frequently. But due to the current technical limitations, there will be constraints when we do that, so-called intertemporal constraints. For example, the startup cost, which is the cost usually measured in the fuels wasted when we ramp up the power plant to the full speed. And also the ramp rate is the maximum amount of change possible during an hour. And also we have like maximum load, minimum load, those kind of intertemporal constraints. So because of these constraints, we should not treat firms' output decisions in different periods as independent. They should be considered as interdependent. We use detailed hourly data from the US EPA, EIA, and also the electricity market. Then here I have skipped many tables, but here I'm using one graph to illustrate our results compared to a static model. So in this graph, the vertical variable is utilization rate, which is basically the actual generation divided by the maximum possible generation capacity. The horizontal variable here, markup, is basically the price subtracted by the cost. So it's a profit, the margin. If we use a static model, meaning that each period's decision is independent, then we should produce at the full capacity whenever the markup or the profit is positive. And we should produce nothing, completely shut down whenever the markup is negative, which is illustrated by this line here. But the actual data is different from what predicted by the static model. In the actual data, we do observe that some generators will choose to produce even when they see a negative markup in some hours. And our intertemporal model matches the actual data very well. And the rationale for that is, yes, the current markup is negative, but there's still incentive for me to stay online because I expect a higher markup in the next period, or higher markups in the next few periods. So I will stay online so to avoid paying the startup cost. And overall, that's going to be beneficial to me. And because of this intertemporal consideration, then the intertemporal model actually matches the actual data very well. So our results and conclusion in summary is not just the current price cost markup matters. The results show that both the past and future markups are also related to the output decision in this current period. And if we apply this intertemporal model to the evaluation of the effectiveness of the RGGI policy, we found that the RGGI policy was effective and helped to reduce the CO2 emission by about a bit less than 5%. And we did some simulation. If we further increase the CO2 price as we observed, then a $1 per ton increase will further decrease the CO2 emission by about 1.85%. And we can, but still, as we have shown in the previous graph, that the RGGI CO2 price was pretty low. So if we have a higher price, for example, at a $15 per ton, then we can reduce CO2 emissions by more than 20%. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
I hope you guys are having great holidays, and Merry Christmas to everyone and a very Happy New Year. If you can look at my screen, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Shishir Sharma and I'm a sophomore at Penn State, currently majoring in computer science and engineering. And my research paper includes effect of dimensional variation on the performance of pyramidal proof mass. Wait, just give me a sec. Yeah, effect of the dimensional variations on the performance of pyramidal proof mass rectangular two-beam piezoelectric energy harvester. I wrote my research paper under the guidance of Dr. Ritu Sharma. She's an associate professor at MNIT Jaipur. And we basically covered all these contents about how to harvest energy, all the methodology involved, the objective, the modeling, the result, and the basic observation we found based on our experiments. So if I start real quick, what do I mean by energy harvesting? Energy harvesting is basically, it is a process by which energy is derived from an external sources and it is stored and captured for like smaller wireless devices. If I give like do basic illustration, which are on the macro scale, are wind and solar. And the one that we use in this project is piezoelectric, but the few common examples are electromagnetic, electrostatic, and magnetostrictive. But piezoelectric is the one that we used for this research paper. Now, what I mean by piezoelectricity is it's the tendency of an object to generate electricity when a certain amount of stress is applied. And the common behavior among piezoelectric materials is usually is either or. Either you can put some stress, like bend them, as you can see in the first picture, and it can generate some electricity, or you can apply some voltage and you can see the deformation, the destructiveness that can be caused in the piezoelectric material. That's basically what piezoelectric means. And as you can see, this was a core basic concept which we used to design our proof mass rectangular 2-beam vibration piezoelectric energy harvester, or you can call it PPMR2B because it's not too mouthful. And so the basic design for our project is we took a pyramidal proof mass and 2 rectangular beams connected to each other. And on the beams and proof mass, the structure is made of polycrystalline silicon. And we coated a thin insulation layer of SiO2 which is a very cheap material. And then we put a layer of piezoelectric material, which in this case was zinc oxide, which has a high piezoelectric and electromechanical coupling coefficient. And that's why we use that material. And we use 2 thin gold electrodes, which was almost like a foil thin. And then we like basically analyze all the change in like the length of the beam, width of the beam, thickness of the beam, and what does it cause in like the change in displacement, stress, electric potential, electric energy. Everything was like observed and analyzed. If you look at my screen, you can see the resonance frequency of the energy harvested depends mainly on the spring constant and mass of the proof mass. And one more important thing, the majority of the vibration-based micro cantilevers are spring mass damper system, which if you think about it, it's like a spring and a mass is connected to it. And there's like one more spring. And because in this research paper, we use fixed guided energy harvester, and for a spring mass damper system to yield optimum potential will be when the frequency of the ambient variation like wind, temperature, etc. matches with the resonant frequency, which you can see right here in this formula. All right. Now, based on the reference, we calculated the value for the eigenmode approximately from 1.875, where Vn is for the nth eigenmode. And the way we calculate the total mass for the energy for the proof mass and the energy harvester, not proof mass, for energy harvester, is the summation of the proof mass and the total beam mass. And this is also came from a reference that the mass of the total beam mass is 33/140 times length of the beam. I mean mass of the beam. Now the optimum displacement. This all comes in the mathematical modeling for a research project, as it helps us to design all the graphs and makes our analysis so much easier. And that's why we need to derive all these equations and like literally substitute in, which is going to make us a perfect system. And as you can see, the delta max is the equation for the optimum displacement, which whereas one point to take about is it is directly proportional to applied mechanical force of the energy harvester, and which it is also dependent on the length of the beam and the Young's modulus, which comes out almost 140 for silicon. I think it's 140 for silicon, and over moment of inertia, which is a constant for the rectangular beam, which you can see right here. Now, the spring constant is for this type of cantilever is like force applied over optimum displacement. And if for two beam the piezoelectric energy harvested, the resonance frequency comes out to be this big formula. Right. Now, for a vibrational piezoelectric energy harvester, we used, as I described, we used pyramidal shaped proof mass with 2 rectangular shaped beams, and we tried to do we tried to use both mechanical boundary condition and electrical boundary condition, that the thing that I described in the beginning, when you can apply force and generate potential, or you can apply potential to generate some stress. And based on that, this is the length and the width we used for our proposed project, and the gold electrodes is almost 0.2 micrometer, and piezoelectric layer is like 2 micrometer, and the insulation layer is 0.1 micrometer, and everything's almost this size. If I'm going to show you the why did we use it, it's because all the 4 modes, the first mode is considered the resonance frequency. This one, because it's the we try to use the model, the eigen mode, which is going to provide us with the lowest resonance energy. And out of all the 4, this one was the most beneficial one, as it provided us with the least, which was almost around 600 hertz. Now, the results in the discussion of the analysis is, with the change in length, width, and thickness, we try to observe everything, like how does the eigenfrequency, electric potential changes, everything. And we found with the as you can see here, with the increase in beam length, the eigenfrequency decreases, but it get constant around like 3,000 to 5,000. That's why we choose on 2,500, because that's where it starts getting constant. It's easier to cut the material, and we can see here the frequency increases with the increase in beam width and beam thickness. And same goes for the effect of the variation of beam length on displacement, stress, electric potential, and total energy. With the increase in beam length, it increases the displacement, the maximum displacement, the optimum displacement, the stress, potential, and I think the total energy. So the one point that's like really important is the beam length should be selected carefully. I'm sorry. I'll go ahead. The beam length should be selected carefully, as it's significantly less than and cannot withstand the load of the proof mass. As if it is very large, then there's a slight possibility it's going to curl the beams, or if it's too small, it's not going to withstand the load of the proof mass, and the whole structure is going to break. Same goes for the width. As you can see, when we increase the width, all the 4 parameters that I described, like in the previous slide, decreases, and that's what we need to select a width carefully, as very narrow beam cannot withstand the weight of the proof mass. Same goes for the thickness. As we increase the thickness, all the 4 parameters decreases. Now, based on that, the piezoelectric energy harvester with pyramidal shape proof mass rectangular 2 beam is designed and analyzed, and the effect of variation in beam dimensions and on the performance of the energy harvester is studied. The resonant frequency that we chose for PPMR2B was 595.35 hertz, and the maximum displacement was like 0.7 micrometer. And these are all my references. That's going to be all. Thank you very much.
Is on a paper that it's an in-progress paper. So Aruna and I both teach business analytics at the Cameron School in Wilmington, North Carolina, at UNC Wilmington in the United States. And we both teach a lot of sections of Intro to Statistics course. So we decided to incorporate something with COVID-19 testing into our course to see how we could use the test to demonstrate a concept like type 2 error. So that's really our purpose, is to use a COVID-19 diagnostic test to illustrate type 2 errors to students and kind of give the importance of a false negative result in the COVID-19 test. So, like I said, we teach introductory to statistics, and this is kind of the overview, just really trying to help students understand what we all know. If you probably, most of you here have taught introductory statistics courses, and you understand a lot of research on how students have a tough time with the course, and it's true, and I know that from my experiences. So what we're going to do is we've already come up with 6 different questions, and based on these six questions, we're going to try to measure how likely it is for a student to be overconfident when they receive a negative result for a diagnostic COVID-19 test. And do they really understand the consequences of the false negative when they really do have COVID-19? So I've got an example that I'm going to demonstrate here in just a few minutes. And after we demonstrate this example in class, then we're going to have a post-treatment survey. And then we'll analyze the results. And I'm going to start with a kind of industry standard alpha 0.05, just to see what happens between the pre and post treatment surveys. The students really, will our method have some impact on how students view type 2 error? So just to review really quick, you've probably seen the payoff table here. We're really focusing in on type 2 error. Another paper we're going to be looking at next will be with type 1 error, which is a completely different paper. And I think for a business student, type 1 error is very interesting. But on this paper, I'm going to stay with type 2 error. So type 2 is an infected person that gets a negative result, and what are the consequences of that? So this is my example. In my example, I just come up with a guy, Joe Student, and for Joe Student, he goes out and he gets 4 different COVID tests on the same day, and the assumption is that they're all identical tests. And with each test, he gets a CT score, and his 4 CT scores are given here as 10, 12, 13, and 13. So if a positive test result is 11 or more, then you can see he has 3 tests that might be positive, 12, 13, and 13, but 1 test that's negative. How could that be? Well, I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I'll just go ahead and just share the test. Basically, in step 1, we're testing to see if the average of the 4 tests, the average CT score, is going to be greater than 11, because 11 is really the baseline for, yes, you're positive if your CT score is greater than 11. I'm going to start with industry standard for this example. I'm going to use in class of 0.05, and I'm going to come back to that later. Normal t-test here, p-value approach, compute our test statistic. The average of our 4 CT scores is 12, standard deviation 1.4 and change. So we get a test statistic of 1.41, which gives us a p-value that's fairly low, 0.1323. But as you can see, it's not lower than 0.05. So the decision on the test would be do not reject. There's insignificant evidence for a positive COVID-19 diagnostic test at a result or at an alpha level of 0.05. So given this, then I'm going to ask these questions of the students. The first question, I'll just turn it around to the students and go, does John have COVID-19? And see what the students say. It's going to be interesting to see. I haven't done this yet. Proposing to do it next semester. Ask the students what do they think John should really do about class that day. Should, if he wakes up with symptoms, has the 4 different tests, and runs an overall t-test and comes back with, hey, I don't have sufficient evidence here. I have COVID. Should he go to school or stay at home? If he does go to school, would that be okay if he wears a mask? Should he go for another test on the next day if he's still experiencing symptoms? And then really kind of the interesting one I think students will have fun with, is if John is going to class without precautions, is that really appropriate? Is it ethical? Is he very educated on statistics? Because statistics is a probabilistic technique, and we really need to understand statistics. So I'm going to use some examples with some graphs. Here is just a quick, the blue area is type 2 error. So if I'm testing to see if my mu is greater than 11 and the true actual CT average is 11.5, you see there's a big chance of having a type 2 error. Whereas down here, and I didn't put this in, I need to do this, but here I have an actual true mean of 12, and you can see the blue area is type 2 error, and it's much less than if I have an actual mean over here of 13 versus 11 that's hypothesized, very small chance of type 2 error. So that's kind of where I'm at. What do I have to do to collect the data? I have to complete a 3-hour training course when I go back from this trip. I'm actually in Manila right now, which is where the conference is going to be. So I'm here. I'll go back and sit through a training course. It's going to be fun. Then in the spring, we'll go ahead and collect some data. We're hoping to get a sample size of about 200 or more. And we will include this example in our hypothesis testing chapter when we teach this course in the spring, analyze our results, form conclusions, and try to send it off to an educational journal. So I got 7 minutes, 37 seconds. I kept it within 8. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Barry, for your wonderful presentation. I just wanted to know the results. When it comes to results, what are the results you got?
So far, we do not have any results because we have to go through university training before we can use students as our guinea pigs and collect data from them with surveys. So we were planning on taking that. That's like 3 hours of going through learning on how to conduct research with students. I just haven't done it before, and Aruna and I both are going to be doing that. So do not have any data yet. I think you're still muted.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Good one. Nice to include it in new technologies like blockchain and all. Hope to see the second part, or the advanced version of the research, and see the conclusions from, with respect to results, if I can get much more clarity.
Yeah, we are expecting, we hope that students will get some, students, they look at the results of a hypothesis test and kind of make it more deterministic than probabilistic, almost if it's a mathematical proof of the result. And when we kind of hit them with, you get a false negative, you go to class, you give somebody who's susceptible to COVID-19 this virus, because you're really positive, even though you had a negative test, you could really cause a lot of problems. I mean, they could die from it. So, we're not trying to save the world from COVID-19, but hoping that students will think a little bit and just really, really want to get the concept of type 2 error to students better.
Yeah. Wonderful. So nice getting in touch. We'll stay in touch to see how we can work together, and we can see if we can work out with the other geography, other demography changes, research changes, right? We can take it up some samples out here in India, right, and any other demographies to collect data and see how the demography, a comparative study, a lot can be done with this. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see across different countries. That would be interesting. By the way, the weather here in Manila is absolutely fantastic. Back home in North Carolina, it's like -5 in Celsius today. So nice to be here in Manila.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Yohan from Ethiopia. My title is on heavy metal in wet method of coffee processing plant in Kage wetland. And okay, stuck. Okay, sorry. Coffee wastewater discharge into environment can cause pollution to both environments and surface groundwater. And this effluent can contain different amount of pollutants, such as organic pollutants, heavy metals, and these can cause irreversible environmental harm if not properly managed. And the Kagi natural wetland, which is close to the coffee processing cooperative, is endangering by increasing nutrient effluence. By the way, this is the way how I speak. When I speak, there is something in my tongue. It's nature. It's nature. Sorry for that. And in this research area, limited data are available about the potential of constructed wetland-oriented wastewater treatment of coffee berries, especially using vetiver grass in Africa in general, particularly in Ethiopia. And the objective of this study is to determine the concentration of selected heavy metals and organic pollutant in wet method coffee processing in Kage wetland. And the scope of this study is to analyze organic and some selected heavy metals. This is the description of the study area. Kage is found in Sidama regional state, which is found in Ethiopia around Gidabo River. As you can see, this is the Kage coffee processing plant sites. Constructed wetland unit preparation. This study is randomized controlled trial. And as you know, there is a variety of wetland design and testing method. The first one is volume-based and the other is aerial-based. We construct this constructed wetland based on aerial-based method. So this is the pond we have constructed in Kage sites. As you know, this pond is used to facilitate the sedimentation pond from this Kage constructed wetland. Around 64,000 liters of wastewater are discharged from these processing plants. So we have constructed this pond to hold this amount of wastewater. As you can see, it's 8-meter width, 8-meter length, and 1-meter depth. And there is also a drop structure was constructed, and this helped to gain adequate oxygen that's required for next aerobic reaction. This is the filtration channel that was constructed on the area, and this channel was used as a filter media. And this is the first wetland. This is the first wetland, which have 132 meters square. And this is the open space. There is open space between the two constructed wetland. This is useful for filter media. And half of open space is filled with gravel, different size gravel. And this is the second wetland through which is similar manner to the first one, and it has a similar function to the first one, and through which the wastewater from coffee wastewater is discharging into this through this wetland. And this is the footbridge and the division box, which is used to divide the wastewater which comes from the coffee processing. And this is the general schematic presentation of the wetland, and the selection of sample sites, wastewater, and collection and transportation and storage was used as used based on the technique described in APHA, and the wastewater sample were collected from 2 weeks from 10th October 2021 up to 25 December 2022. And the wastewater is taken from 3 sites: the inlet sites, which is WS1, and also in the middle of the constructed wetland, and also the effluents. And wetland pollutant removal mechanism is based on this calculation. And this is the result and discussion. And the highest mean nickel concentration was detected at site 2, which is 0.16, and this is higher than that was reported by IENA in 2014. Okay. And but higher than the concentration of nickel in wastewater from Nairobi. This discrepancy could be attributed to different in natural and anthropogenic nickel concentration. And the presence of zinc concentration was lost in site 1, which is greatest in samples in site 3. This could indicate that the zinc originated in fertilizer or chemical formulas used for pest control. And the current investigation found that zinc concentration was 0.1 ppm, which is comparable with the study conducted by Mansouri in 2026, and also report conducted by Baharu in 2020, which is reported 0.21 ppm. And however, the finding of the present study was lower than reported by SIU in 2007. This discrepancy due to different in natural and anthropogenic zinc concentration. As you can see, the nickel effluent was 0.03, which is greater than the WHO standard. And also zinc was 0.048, which is also greater than WHO standard. When it comes to the removal efficiency of the constructed wetland, almost all except sodium, the removal efficiency was above 50%. And the present study found that mean copper concentration in wastewater were lower than those reported in coffee processing wastewater at Nigeria, and also in Ethiopia, which reported 0.91, This could be attributed to the reason of anthropogenic activity and industrial influence released to the environment. This is the Pearson correlation coefficient. As you can see, most of the heavy metal are strongly or positively correlated with each other, and this is the conclusion of the presentation. Findings indicate that the mean concentration of all elements except manganese and chromium showed significant and reduced dramatically in the effluent of the constructed wetland. However, the mean nickel, manganese, and magnesium value is in the effluent of the wetland were above Ethiopian EPA. And the removal rate of nickel, zinc, copper, sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium are higher than 50%, which is found in the range of 51 up to 82.6%. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Yunus. Very nice research work, actually, and very intense work which you have carried out with respect to the wetlands and all. Thank you. To stay in touch, please to share your details out there in the chat box.
At first, I want to give my thanks to the Horacia organization for the opportunity given to me to participate in this conference. And I am very happy to be among you. So say that so I am Hafeda Shmouri from Higher School in Applied Science of Tlemcen of Algeria. I am a member of Laboratory of Applied Thermodynamics and Molecular Modeling in Algeria also. So my work has come title Air Purification of the Carbon Monoxide Molecule CO in Nanocatalyzed Oxidation Computational Study. We say that our Earth, yes, it is a reality because air pollution is considered as a very serious problem. As a result of modernization, industrial process or human activities emit different types of pollutants. Some of the substances emitted are, for example, ozones, nitrogen oxides, volatile organic compounds, etc. Among these particles, we can name the carbon monoxide, which is one of the most important air pollutants that are generated during the incomplete combustion of hydrocarbons and organic materials. The catalytic oxidation reaction of CO has attracted considerable attention due to its importance in purifying the CO molecule from the environment. How to effectively delete and remove CO is one of the challenges these days. This reaction has been widely studied in heterogeneous catalysis. The doping of heteroatoms like nitrogen, bore, phosphor, etc. in carbon nanomaterials could lead to electronic modulation to alter the electronic properties and chemical activities that make them potential and low-cost catalysis for the CO oxidation. So the aim of our work is to perform a theoretical study of mechanism of the oxidation reaction of CO on different heterodoped fullerenes. This study was conducive to predict the best nanocatalysis among 4 nanofullerenes. our results are divided on 4 structural and energetic study of the reactivity of nanocatalyzed doped fullerenes toward the adsorbed substance O2 and CO. In this figure, you can show that these 4 structures of doped fullerenes, and in the center there is the no doped fullerene. So our energy calculations show that for all the 4 doped fullerenes, the structures are different from the no doped fullerene. And the difference is little for the case of the Bohr atom, because the Bohr atom is near to the carbon atom in structures. The second study is the energy study. So the thermodynamic stability of heterofullerenes is determined by the calculation of the formation energy. All calculations show that all heterofullerenes are thermodynamically stable because all the energies are negative. The second calculations for the different properties of double DFT show that the electronic character of the heterofullerenes and the nucleophilic characters of the absorbate systems, O2 and CO. Another study is the study of the adsorption of the O2 and CO adsorbates on the nanocatalysis. The first calculation is of the adsorption energies and difference electrophilicities and the gaps energies. The calculations in this case show the interaction between the fullerenes, particularly fullerenes and O2 and CO adsorbent systems, has a highly polarity reflected by the largest values of delta omega and by the smallest energy gaps, and also the good absorbate explained by the lowest adsorption energies. These results clearly explain that the SE doped fullerene presents the best surface of the adsorbed O2 and CO. The last study step is the study of the mechanism steps of the oxidation of the CO molecule and nanocatalysis systems. So the calculations of local indices from the conceptual DFT show that the atom SE has the greatest values of local electrophilicity. So the most important interaction, electrophilic, nucleophilic, take place between the atom in the fullerene and the oxygen. These clearly the experimental results. We can say that in the present work we performed using global and local indices, a study of oxidation reaction of CO on heteroatoms fullerenes. Our calculation justifies the experimental and the theoretical findings, which says that the fullerene doped with the heteroatom SE has an adequate surface for the adsorption of the CO molecule. So we are happy because our results can help to develop less costly catalysis to reduce gaseous pollution from Earth. And for realize this study, we have used this reference. The first is our publication of this paper, this study, this work. And this is my town in Algeria. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, ma'am. Yeah, nice topic though. Nice to understand about chemistry. We'll be in touch, ma'am. Please do share your email address in the chat box.
Presentation now. Okay, I am Burak. I am a master's student in Istanbul Technical University, and I work in Doğuş Technology as a data scientist. Today, I will give you information about the in-service renewable project we have developed. While talking about the technical details and processes of the project, I will touch on the business outputs and what kind of added value it adds about that human AI collaboration. The main objective of the project is to estimate the probability of the renewable customers insurance and motor insurance products for the renewal of insured products. Machine learning techniques and algorithms and the realistic process were developed in the insurance renewable projects, and this is almost summarized of the Wimbeck projects. Within the scope of the insurance renewable projects, separately for individual and corporate customers, data creation, storage, data manipulation, pre-processing, and some data engineering process, and the end of the process, model editing, model research, draft the model creation, and putting the models live processes were carried out. Using historical data customer vehicle purchase almost covering 7 years, and studies were demographics and some using 42 different attributes under these feelings. Similarly, our main business goal is solve such a problem by utilizing various machine learning methods to assess the one of the highest prediction accuracy. It utilizes the Volkswagen Doğuş Finance Insurance Services customer data for this end-to-end. The results of the study were presented to the company. The company has taken different actions using the outcomes of this study. As a result, it was determined that customer renewal rates would be increases and customer loss would be prevented by the user insurance agency. The main milestones, we can say that defining the database query and data extraction job with SQL queries. The second one, create a classification nested model that generates forecasts on a monthly basis. And after that, creating model evaluation and performance tracking based on livelihoods last 2 months. Build Bento ML API architecture that can be queried on a customer basis after that transform face API. Then creating a model tracking screen on Grafana AWS. And finally, build and integrate MLflow infrastructure for the MLOps processes. During the exploratory data analysis, we have imputation of the missing values, and of course we check the data's what kind of distribution. In general, some numerical categories does not have the normally or Gaussian distribution, so we complete the mode value in these categories, So we don't use the median values. Similarly, in categorical features, we fill the most repetitive value, and we check some outliers data, and we created and drop out with threshold values. We determine of the 22 attributes for individual case have been dropped in this manner because we determine what kind of the value of percent threshold value. If that under the threshold values which have the categories or numerical attributes have this missing value, and we should drop out, automatically remove the features, and we determine the 20% during the process. This is a rule decision for these studies, and some feature extraction and feature engineering processes. After that, we search what kind of the model we use in these studies, and we of beginning the model tended towards ensemble methods in the research phase due to above reasons. This is a different predictor already have been in this all of them the features. So we this is most of the boosting methods and different kind of predictors. While the benchmarking these boosting algorithms and comparing their stability, we determined the root mean square error metric was taken into consideration, and the pipeline was built on the large GBM estimator, which provides the highest success and competitively. As we can see, the performances of the different machine learning methods mentioned before have been tested at first. Table shows our respective evaluation scores. To test the methods, December 2022 was taken as a reference. These scores range from 0 to 1. 0 meaning that the model did not accurately predict any renewal, while 1 meaning that it predicted every renewal correctly. As the score gets closer to 1, the model predicts the renewals more accurately, and the most success and highest accuracy and F1 score. After deciding on the appropriate model in the light of the data and root mean square error metrics, we use randomized and grid search, which work stepwise with parameters, hyperparameters. And during this process, 5-fold cross correlation and 3 basis regularization was applied to prevent to overfitting. And we built a pipeline of machine learning methods, and we check that they're under learning or overfitting, and the aim goal is the prevent of the overfitting. In the model, the precision model value on the customer side and the optimization of the recall value. In other words, the sensitive value from the technical point of the view lead to the focus on F1 score. In addition, the reliability of the AUC ROC values, which shows how separated the classes are, meaning how successful the model is to classify 0 as 0 and the 1 as 1, was checked. And upon the Volkswagen Deutsche Finance Insurance Services requested, the test set only consists of the customers for the next month. Since the results are obtained on the 50th of each month, the current model success is calculated with the validation set and 2 or 3 month periods with the actuaries of the previous estimators. Subset the shop values consists of the almost close value during the every study. After that, we determine how to explainable these ML methods. We use the shop values or shop libraries or libraries, but it's not enough explainable for this study. The feature importance of the model is not enough explainable the model evaluation. So we use the permutation feature importance was preferred for the interpretation of the model resource, and we sent the customers and business outputs which kind of the most effective features in box clouds of the permutation feature importance. As we can see, the most affected features and the box clouds feature in the permutation importance table. After that, we developed on the ML flow infrastructures in the MLOps processes. We studies at F1 score and accuracy, but the last 6 months, basically, we can see how change the model evaluation and maybe the development improve the model evaluation in this result scores. This is the individual model metrics. Similarly, corporate model metrics are the last 6 months basis on the last 6 monthly. Conclusion to the business goals. We have some issues. This is priority contact with the high potential customers, because this is the similarly a WinMake project. Increase the regeneration penetration during the peak periods. This is the monthly or last 2 or 3 months month basis. Increasing the motivation of the telemarket agent and fair customer dispersion to agents. Thank you for listening for me.
Water hardness quality and the quantitative analysis of water. It is the work of Boussaid Linda. She has on parchment. I will present introduction. Natural waters from rains, lakes, rivers, wells, springs, from groundwaters are rarely drinkable. Tap water produced by capturing natural water is treated. Tap water is borehole water packaged in polyethylene terephthalate bottles. It is water that has undergone different treatments: chemical, biological, and physico-chemical. Spring water of underground origin recolonized without microbes and ampulated by order of the Service of the Ministry of Health. It cannot be chemically treated. Mineral water, also of underground origin, is recovered when it emerges naturally or be digging wells. Its therapeutic qualities must be recovered when its emerges naturally or by digging wells. Its therapeutic qualities must be recognized by the Ministry of Health. In general, rainwater is theoretically virgin and chemically pure. When the rain falls and then trickle, it will come into contact with the rocks in the basement. On this occasion, it is loaded with various mineral elements, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, will dissolve in the form of carbonate or bicarbonates, phosphates, etc. The concept of hardness refers to the amount of dissolved minerals in water. Soft water is weakly mineralized. It contains a few dissolved minerals. Conversely, hard water contains relatively more dissolved minerals. Such water is also said to be calcareous. Water treatment. Distillation. Distilled water is water pure which does not contain dissolved substance. The water is brought to 100 degrees Celsius, passing the vapor state in the evaporator, then can condensate cooled in refrigerator. Softening. Soft water is water depleted of calcium and magnesium ions. Biomatination consists of placing the ion it contains with other ion using ion exchange. Ultrafiltration. Filtration under pressure that allows you to separate molecule dissolved in water. Elimination of organic molecular, microorganism, and virus. Reverse osmosis. The red water delaminated the water under pressure pass through a semi-permeable membrane constituting a barrier stopping dissolved salts, bacteria, microorganisms, and viruses. The water obtained is sterile, not pollinic, and will demineralize. The hardness of water. The hardness of water depends mainly on the sum of calcium and magnesium ions. The presence of other constituents such as iron, manganese, or aluminum contribute to the total hardness, but their concentration is generally not very important. The hardness of water is related to its ability to leather shop. Hardness is expressed in calcium carbonate equivalent, but it is sometimes also expressed in French hydrothermic degrees. When total hardness is the sum of permanent hardness and temporary hardness. Every type of water quality is, we can classify the water classification according to the hardness. We have a very sweet water and gentle water, and medium soft, hard, or very hard. Disadvantages of hard water users are increased consumption of soap and detergent, a high temperature disposition on washed surfaces, longer cooking of vegetable, scanning of appliance in which water is heated, water heater, kettle, and pipe, scanning of the washing machine for programs at a temperature above 60 degrees. Experimental. The qualitative and the quantitative analysis of water hardness. For a qualitative analysis, we put table water and mineral water and distillated water in 3 test tubes. Put each tube a water, namely this distilled water, free mineral water or tap water. Add to each 3 drops of soap liquid. The observation results and the conclusion measuring the height of the foam allows us to determine the hardness of the water or the quality of its quality. We can see the water distillate is have biggest higher. Distilled water is the sweetest. The lower the high of the form, the soft the water. For the quantitative analysis, we use free mineral water. We determine the concentration of calcium and magnesium using the EDTA solution. At equivalence, we obtain the results according to the table below. We have 3 experiments. Hence, the concentration of calcium and magnesium contained in free mineral water. The hardness, we can calculate it with this relation. And we have 128 mole per liters. Conclusion: natural mineral water has properties favorable to health and officially recognized, but some waters contain elements which taken in large quantities or daily can be harmful. All the quality criteria, flow rate, temperature, mineral composition, appearance, and state must be constant. It undergoes many daily check and can only come from one source. When the water has been recognized as being of public interest, it is assigned a protection perimeter in which underground work is virtually prohibited. The therapeutic values of certain mineral waters are used during spa treatment. Not all drinking water has the same chemical composition. They do not all contain the same mineral substance. In order for the water to become impregnated with a mineral and something take on carbon dioxide, it must remain underground for many years. In the deep layer, there are waters that date back more than 10,000 years. Each water acquires its specific mineral composition according to the constitution of the rock layers crossed. Mineral substances are very important for the human organism. Unfortunately, it cannot produce them itself and must therefore look for them in food. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. You will be continuing with your presentation, Hafida?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you.